Em, look at our amazing old school jerseys. Durban Girls College, St. Mary's.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Hockey on 216, driven by Hyundai. As you'll see this evening, we're coming to you from a very, very special venue. For those of you who know your hockey, and specifically your girls hockey in South Africa, you'll know that we're broadcasting live from the St. Mary's Festival. We're going to apologise in advance. There's a lot of girls teams, 32 in total, that are arriving from around the country. Probably going to be a lot of noise and activity, but it's just wonderful to see all these teams arriving in Johannesburg for what promises to be one of the great events, one of the great hockey events and schools hockey events of the year. As always, with me in the studio, Bridget Key and Kristen Woodley. Moodles, Bridgie, great to have you back. Bridgie sporting her school colours.
Absolutely.
For those of you who didn't know, you'll very clearly know that Bridget now is a very proud old girl of
the real St. Mary's.
The real St. Mary's. A previous coach winner of the St. Mary's Festival. Didn't win it as a player, but certainly won it as a coach. So
yep.
She's back and sporting her colours. And those of you who know her from SuperSport schools, we have a partnership with the old school jersey. So that's something you'll be seeing from them. Joined on my far left, Emily McKay. Great to have Emily back. In her colours of Durban Girls College, and I saw the Durban Girls College team just arrived. There were lots of waves.
Yeah, they very nice to see them again.
Good to have them back. And a special guest this evening, Cindy Brown, who for most of you requires very, very little introduction in the world of South African hockey, but for those of you who don't know, she is the head of hockey at St. Mary's, and obviously which really makes her the organiser and the person in charge for the next few days. She's obviously also the coach of the first team here. She's an old girl of St. Mary's. She won the tournament in 2000 as a player in the very, very first tournament, Cindy.
And 2002 and 2003.
Okay, so a double winner.
Yep.
Emily just won it once, eh?
Yeah,
in your career. So we're sitting with a bunch of winners here tonight.
Yeah, you guys up next.
On top of that, Cindy, you're the current under-21 national coach, assistant coach of the women's national team as well. So hockey's clearly taking up a lot of your time, and for that we really appreciate the fact that you've come to join us on the show, and obviously we'd like to talk about that tournament. 93 caps for South Africa, and also an Olympian. I don't see any visible tattoos.
Yeah.
No, that's a commonly asked question, but no, it's yet to happen. Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
When you go to the Olympics with the national ladies side.
Maybe
maybe
I'll get two there. Yeah.
It's really wonderful to have you here, and we really appreciate you giving us time. So just a quick little bit of background. Tournament started in 2000, as you said. You were here. You were a girl at the time at St. Mary's. How did it come about? And give us a little bit of the history.
Yeah, look, I was pretty young then. I was in grade 9, so I didn't really think too much about it, other than the fact we got to play on an AstroTurf back then was quite something. I think St. Mary's was probably one of the first girls' schools that played Astro.
Well, I can tell you the first schools to have was in 1998, Maritzburg College in Wynberg, so it was 2 years after that, so very likely.
So I think girls schools, and so the festival started. There were only 10 teams back then.
Oh, so it was easy to win it, Amy? No.
Yeah, 32 schools compared to 10.
Today,
I played against Cindy when I was here. That's how far back.
Pity we don't know who ended up higher that year, Brit.
So the first winners were certainly not St. Mary's Kloof nor St. Mary's Waverley. So who won that first tournament?
Pretoria Girls won the first two editions of the event. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Maritzburg Girls were also pretty decent in those times as well.
I think the first two finals probably Pretoria Maritzburg.
And they both still play in the tournament currently now. So fantastic.
Fantastic to have that little bit of history. I mean, as you'll know, because you remember you were coaching last year, Emily on your left there, a part of the winning team at Durban Girls College last year. Emily, I mean, it's a tough tournament to win.
Yeah, it's a tough tournament. I think there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, as you would know since. What do you think your chances are this year?
You know what, in 25 minutes, anything can happen. I think it's a team that uses their opportunities the best. Sometimes you've got to have a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah.
But I think, everyone comes here well prepared. It's, as we said, it's one of the top tournaments in the country, so you have to be. So I'm looking forward to a good event.
So Waverley's won St. Mary's Festival 5 times.
Yeah.
Out of those 5, how many have you won?
2.
Okay.
Two as a
None
player.
as a coach yet.
None yet.
Okay, so you need to get off the mark.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Some other big winners, obviously. I mean, Oranje really the dominant team in the sort of 24 events I think have taken place in the 26 years. Obviously, 2 lost to COVID. They've won 7.
7. For 4 years, they won it consecutively, 2014 to 2017, and then St. Mary's Kloof won it the next year, and then Oranje again.
That's right, St. Mary's Kloof. Very proud.
And obviously Durban Girls College the next highest in that with
3 wins,
So
yeah.
it was your 3rd one last year. So
Yeah.
really those 3 teams have dominated. But teams, as you say, Pretoria Girls, Unisi have won. Durban Girls,
Kloof.
all wins through the years and various things. And I mean, obviously 32 teams. I mean, they're pretty much the 32 best teams in the country. How do you obviously a lot of these teams have been coming since inception.
Yeah.
How do you determine who comes to the tournament?
So I think a lot of them have been here for probably since inception. This year we're actually running a new tournament at Kingsmead at the same time. It's called the Courage Cup. So basically what's going to happen, the 2 top teams at that tournament will replace the bottom 2 teams at this tournament. So it's a new initiative just to give other schools who've been on a waiting list for a long time the opportunity to to participate in this event.
And obviously there was a time before the second Astro that's sitting behind you that a lot of the tournament used to get played at Kingsmead. So
and Rodine.
Of course. So Kingsmead in that mix. I was with a couple of the Epworth team last night, and I know that's massive on their agenda. And Darren Gallagher, as the coach, there's agenda is to get his team back into the St. Mary's Festival, where they were for many years. So all to play for at Kingsmead down the road, isn't there, Bridget? And
Absolutely.
that will also be streamed on the SuperSport
Yeah, that's
Schools
on the
app this
SuperSport
weekend.
Schools app. All the games out of Kingsmead, as well as all the games here at St. Mary's, with games on channel 216 and SABC Plus on Nathan Astro, and then on the Astro behind us, the Hull Astro, that will be streamed on the app. So,
And Bridget, from a channel 216 perspective, we'll be pretty much broadcasting all 4 days.
absolutely, we're live all 4 days. It's non-stop action here from 7:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. So hockey.
And the one thing that obviously makes this tournament always a little bit more interesting is the weather in Johannesburg. So I think one thing for the viewers, keep an eye on the app, keep an eye on the St. Mary's Festival app and various other sources. Rain and lightning can obviously change that schedule, and it's probably the biggest headache you have.
Yeah, I think so. Roz has obviously been here for years with Quicks, and they've sort of managed that, but I've had to take over, so I think a couple of us will have to make those calls. But ultimately we just want to get the games played, and I think we want to get as much hockey in as we can, so we just have to figure out the best way to manage that and just give teams opportunity to play.
And for those viewers who aren't familiar with the tournament, what really makes it tough, it's 25 minutes one way. The clock doesn't stop.
No.
If you go 1 or 2 behind, it's a tough chase, isn't it, Emily? I mean, you've been there.
Very tough.
If you got behind against St. Mary's Waverley last year, and as much as you won the tournament, you weren't good enough to beat St. Mary's Waverley.
No, unfortunately not. In the final against Unisi, we were 2-2 until probably the last 3 minutes of the game. So it's hard. It's really hard, yeah.
And that 25 minutes goes quickly, doesn't it?
Very fast.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, Calvin. I mean, I was trying to think from a coaching perspective what effective strategies there are going into a 25-minute game, because often you find that teams generally get into it in the second half, and the results, that's where the result comes from, is the second half performance. So I think you've got to start well, you've got to make sure that you don't concede, and then take your opportunities in front of goal, and we know that has been a challenge in South Africa, is goal scoring, or converting possession into goals, and I think that's going to be key going forward.
As a national under 21 coach, you must also have your eye on a lot of the talent that's coming here, because that's a lot of these kids are the ones that feed into your system in the next couple of years. Is that goal scoring ability and ability to, with circle entries that have impact, one of the key things that you look for as a national under 21 coach? Yeah,
look, definitely. I think it's one of the things that we definitely are lacking in South Africa. I think girls specifically, I think that natural aggression, ability to read the game, the space, hasn't quite been there. I think girls are, they don't like making mistakes. So I think they go for the safe options. I think we've lost a little bit of aggression in the attacking zones. So hopefully we'll see some good goal scoring this week. Yeah.
Interesting you talk about that like holding back. I mean, is it a girl thing? I mean, that's an interesting thing that you say, that you feel like the girls are a little bit more cautious. And as a national coach, an under 21 national coach, saying to the girls out there, show me your stuff, take some chances, and you risk reward.
Yeah, I think at national level it is a little bit different. I think, schools, obviously the kids are a little bit younger, they're a little bit more conservative, they try to stick to plans for a little bit longer, but I think the more experience you get, I think, players can adapt their games, they can adapt to opposition a little bit faster than what we see at school level.
Would you agree with that from a boys' perspective, or do you think the boys are a little bit more risk averse or less risk averse?
I think it almost goes a bit deeper than that. I think it's our training ethic that largely determines big moments in games. I don't feel that we always train at the right intensity, particularly at school level. So now, if you're not scoring every chance you get at a training session, with the added pressure of having a game and the pressure on the result, your natural ability is not going to come out and score the goal. So I think we have to train at better intensities to ensure that our percentage conversion rate in games is better. If you're getting 10 circle entries in a training session with uncontested circle entries and you're only scoring 3 of those 10, you're not going to score in a game.
And it's the same as penalty corners, the conversion in the penalty corners, same concept, like when our percentages need to be higher.
I've seen what's been effective, at coaching at all levels is creating competition at training sessions.
Yeah.
I think that's key. For all kids, they want to win something, they want to feel like they're playing for something, and goal scoring becomes a habit. If you look at some of the top goal scorers we've had in Pichikutsia, it was
Greg
a habit.
Nicol, all those
Greg
kids,
Nicol,
absolutely. You speak about that sort of intensity, and off camera we were just chatting before, Cindy, about as an under-21 coach, what are those attributes you looking for in the next generation of national players? And you spoke about physicality, and I guess physicality is a little bit about what he's talking about, that commitment, that pressure, and really like putting those bodies on the line.
Yeah, I think the game's become so fast that if you're not physical, if you don't have the speed, a lot can bypass you. So I think that is a huge element to it. I think mentality is also one that I don't think we address enough at school level, unfortunately. Just to jump on that point that you were talking about, I think also a lot of our players who are making national sides are top in their school, their club, their province. So how much competition are we getting? Are the top attackers playing against the top defenders week in and week out? And I don't think that necessarily is always the case. So top attackers looking great because they're scoring 5 goals, but it's sometimes against weak opposition.
Yeah.
Can we do it at international level?
And obviously for girls hockey, there's opportunity. I mean, interesting, we were chatting earlier on about the Epworth team that are playing at Kingsmead. Darren Gallagher took them on a training camp to Hilton, and they played 3 games against Hilton first team and against the under 16s and under 14 boys. And I guess that's going to be sharpen them up and make them just have to be that much better.
I know St Mary's Waverley played Uffy's. I mean, you played
we played St John's under 16, and we also played St David's.
Yes.
Obviously the intensity, the pace, the physicality the boys offer is just on another level.
Yeah. So I guess that's the one benefit for girls hockey that perhaps the boys don't have, is that the girls can go and play against these boys teams. Did you have any of that prep in your Durban days last year?
Yeah, we used to play against DHS under 16 boys. They were very physical and it definitely gave us a bit of a push. Just wanting to mention that this tournament has brought in they brought in 51 participants into the national team. So
in the 24 years, that's amazing. It's just an incredible stat, isn't it? So again, just goes to show that just the value of this tournament. Look, Cindy, from all of us, I know you've got lots to get done. You've got a wonderful dinner tonight, and Bridgie, you're the guest speaker tonight.
I am.
I wonder if you'll be wearing that rugby jersey.
I am wearing this exact jersey.
Hopefully she'll be doing a good job, but I think just in closing on this portion, one of the really special things about this tournament is just everything that goes on for the girls, for the parents, for grandparents, everyone else behind the scenes and not on the Astro. I mean, it is something that the school really prides itself on.
Yeah.
I often talk on the show about my eating habits, and I'm definitely coming for the Prego roll. This is the best Prego roll in South Africa, without doubt. And Jeppy, sorry, I had the Jeppy Prego roll at Nomads this last weekend. You've still got work to do, so Mary's got a lot to show you. But tell us just a bit more about what to expect off the Astro.
Yeah, look, I think this is obviously the pinnacle, sort of girls sport. For us it's an event, and we've obviously added netball to it. It's a huge event for the school. Unfortunately we did break up today, but I still think the vibe and the energy around campus has really been great. I think the girls will be out in full force, hopefully. The staff will be out, and I think everyone just really enjoys being outside the classroom but still just having fun together as a school, and we obviously value community. It's a big thing, and I think this brings the community together year in, year out, and it's just got got bigger and bigger.
Not just the St Mary's community, the hockey community, the sports
Absolutely.
community. It's just a place to see everyone. And look, Cindy, everything of the best. And we'll be back after the break to talk more with some of the teams about what they expect from this tournament. Welcome back to Hockey on 216. As we said to you earlier, we are broadcasting this evening from the St Mary's Hockey Festival, proudly brought to you by Stanley, one of the really great girls' hockey festivals and school hockey festivals that take place in South Africa. But for the next segment, what we really want to do is just talk about some boys' hockey. This last weekend probably was the sort of pinnacle of boys hockey in the country, where the most teams are participating in events. Crimson, I mean, we had Nomads open, the open division, the under 16s and the under 14s all year. So that was
all up in Joburg. Yeah,
all being hosted. We had Founders Week again for opens, under 14s, under 16s from Parktown, Pretoria Girls and Uffies. And then of course we had the Coastal Cup from the Riverside. So it was just the most extraordinary weekend of boys hockey, wasn't it?
Amazing to see how many of the top teams were playing this weekend, represented in those various festivals. And each of those festivals are unique. We spoke about the history of those festivals.
How are you?
Certainly showcasing the talent we have in the country at the moment.
And obviously there will be those from the southern suburbs who might like to remind us that Sax weren't there, and they do have a whole heap of talent. We did discuss last week that it's probably our feeling that Sax are the team to beat currently in the country, although I think your opinion might be changing, and we're going to talk a bit about that later in the show. Sax are touring, so they were
in the
participating
Netherlands
this week. But I think what we certainly did see is we're starting to see a bit of shakeout and starting having a good sense of who the teams are to really look out for in boys hockey in South Africa this year, Crimson.
For sure, I think if I look at the Nomads results as a whole, it was very tightly contested. Very tightly
Crimson, as you said, just to remind viewers, we made a few brave calls last week. I mean, we brave people, we like to risk a bit. And
put it all out.
Throw it out there, yes.
We said that at Nomads, we felt Jeppe were the team to beat, really good team, and obviously on home ground advantage, yes. So we felt that, and that certainly turned out to be a very good Jeppe side. But I think Hilton and Grey College probably came out on as even at Nomads, and as you said, a very tight tournament.
Hilton have had an exceptional start to the season. We spoke about their results down in KZN and knew they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. We spoke about how well they coached, and they showed that there's nowhere to hide at Nomads. There's 5 very tough fixtures, and also I think important for our viewers to note that Nomads is tough because you're playing 2 games a day. It's 2-1, so the preparation often for the second game is not as good as the first game of the day. And so for Hilton to go through that and produce the results they did, and Grey College, I think they're going to be some epic derbies this year.
We've been talking about Grey College.
Yeah,
and
you've got to watch them
and what's going on. They're really, really good. Bridget, you've stood out. I know you love the short corner attack.
I do.
There's the man that you really believe, but it showed in Kopus, the captain. They had a second short corner option, and that came to the fore in a lot of their results. Grey College drawing 2-2 with Cares, 2-2 with Jeppe on the same day. That's tough hockey.
Tough, absolutely tough. And I saw that they beat Pretoria Boys High 4-0, and Pretoria Boys High had a solid Nomads tournament. So they just show that I think with the solid base that they're playing from, and their set piece conversion, I think they're going to be really tough to play against.
Well, there was some wonderful short corner conversion, as you say, from Pretoria Boys. Maritzburg College and Cares, even St John's, really had a solid set of results. And as you said, so might have gone to a tournament, had 1 or 2 games that went against them. I think Maritzburg College, a few minutes to go, conceded to lose, by 1 goal to Jeppe. Some really good draws out of them. Similarly, Cares were 2-0 up against Hilton on Sunday evening.
Yeah, they had a cracking start. I think that Cares you're going to watch this season are slowly going to grow from strength to strength as they just keep growing. I think they're a team to watch.
We do talk about coaching, though, that boys hockey, and we certainly saw that at Nomads, a group of fantastic coaches, and it just makes it that much harder. I saw an enormous amount of structure, wonderful defensive structure by everyone. That we saw. Down at Coastal Cup, you were obviously down. It really was the Paul Roos show.
Absolutely. I mean, there's something in the water in Stellenbosch at the moment. But,
I think it's called Michael Baker.
Yeah, But Paul Ruiz put out, not just their first team. I mean, their first team watched them play on a number of, I think 3 times at Coastal Cup. Just dominant in all those fixtures, structured, got a lot of flair going forward. Their captain in the middle, Christo Swanepoel, certainly bosses the game for them. But converting their chances. Importantly there, Calvin, I mean, we spoke a bit about Kes. Kes got a good under 14 and 16 setup. But when I look at Paul Ruiz, I mean, I don't understand how they've got 3 teams at the level that they've got at the moment. Their under 14 team scored 46 goals in 4 games at Coastal Cup and didn't concede
incredible.
One. And so
a couple of double-digit numbers. Well, there has to be a couple of double-digit numbers in that. So
yes.
that is just exceptional. You did say off air, and maybe it's time to sort of throw it out there. I'm going to put you on the spot here, but Crinison, but we went with Sachs as our team for the season. I'm still leaning that direction, and I'd like to see what they come back with. But you're starting to change your opinion. You're starting to tell me that Paul Ruiz is the team to beat in South African schools hockey right now.
It's a blind change in opinion because I haven't seen Sachs play yet. But from what the makeup of a good all-round hockey team is that if you look, Paul Ruiz didn't concede many goals at Coastal Cup. I looked at their goalkeeper in the game that have played excellent. Their penalty corner is good. They're not relying on 1 or 2 players. There's a squad there of 16 players that are all quality players. And I think as the season goes, the depth of your squad starts to play a role. And so, without having seen Sachs play, I think they're going to be the team to beat. I'd love to see some of these derbies of a Grey Bloem, Paul Ruiz. I think that's going to be a great game. And when Sachs do take on Paul Ruiz, reminded that for the last 2 years at the Hibbert Shield, I think Paul Ruiz have beaten Sachs, and then in the return fixture, Sachs have cleaned up. So
Bridget, no doubt on Monday, Friday Night Lights, we're going to see those few pictures coming up.
You are. Next weekend, what is that, the 11th of April, we got an awesome initiative that JP and Parktown have started together in combination with their girls' schools. So you're going JP Girls, JP Boys versus Parktown Girls, Parktown Boys as a gender-based violence outreach program.
It'll be Friday the 11th.
Friday the 11th from 3 o'clock all the way through until pretty much 8 o'clock. Then we are playing out Paul Ruiz versus Grey High School. So that's going to be that's the one to be all talking
so
through.
So we're going to watch that Paul Ruiz journey. You've all heard it here. Crinison has said call them the team for the season. He's starting to put his flag. Some of us are still a bit undecided, although I did, that Hilton comeback against Kes really impressed me over the weekend, and JP, I think they're going to continue to be a really good side to beat. At Founders though in Pretoria, I was just so impressed with Uffie's and Northwood.
Strong side
all season. They really were the 2 teams that featured strongly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we said Uffie's are going to they bring the physicality, play with a lot of structure. I certainly saw that from them. I think interestingly enough, though, Northwood beating Uffie's 3-1. If I'm not mistaken, that's a big result for Northwood.
Big result, and Northwood are soon going to be coming back up for the Saints Festival here for Easter Festival. We're hoping to stick a camera in the bus with them on their way up. I know they've got a couple of Hyundai H1s that they're going to travel up with, and so it's probably a team we're going to get to know a bit in person.
Yes,
it's going to be a bit of fun.
Absolutely, we're going to have someone travel up on the bus with them from Natal all the way up here, and you know what happens on the bus. It's always exciting. It's either sleeping till Montrose and then jovial from there on until you get to Joburg.
Well, soon we'll see, and the editors might have to do a bit of work. But let's see those Northwood boys on tour. We're going to have a bit of fun with them, and we're looking forward to that. You spoke about that Paul Ruiz under 16 side. And I think one of the most exceptional things about these 3 festivals that we've just had around the country is they're inclusive of under 14s, under 16s, and the open division. So a lot of boys getting an opportunity. I actually went across to Founders on Saturday and watched a lot of the under 16 hockey. I saw a wonderful clash between Uffie's and Rondebosch, for example. And what so impressed me was these under 16 kids, which obviously includes a lot of under 15 boys, playing with extraordinary structure, wonderful calmness. I mean, there were really a couple of, we don't want to always call specific kids out, but again, when you watch a game, Uffie's under 16s, they've got 2 boys in the back, Zion Marais, the strong, powerful, but dominant centre back, and alongside him, one of the calmest kids I've ever seen play hockey. You almost think he's in a coma. He's just taking his time, but was just so controlled and and it was just wonderful to watch. And the two of them, just the way they played together, that was Michael James Cilliers. Just wonderful to see that. Yes. And then on the other side at Rondebosch, a kid who really stood out for me, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see a couple of these kids moving up into the first team ranks pretty quickly. Zoe Lutete, I don't know if either of you have seen him.
So quick.
He sort of plays on the right-hand side as a change of pace. You know, he seems to glide along, and then bang, the afterburners come and he's gone. So just wonderful to see that at this level.
I mean, I think at under 14 and under 16 level, what I was so impressed with watching the games at Coastal Cup is that I sort of sat there thinking, how do we have so many talented hockey players in South Africa? To have the teams playing at the level.
Our youth hockey is phenomenal.
100% that you talk about that, and I mean, maybe as we close for the segment, and I don't know how many, we can throw a few names around, but if we start to look at some of the kids that really impressed us over this weekend, I got to watch the JP team quite closely. Two real superstars there, Johan Martin, Ethan Kapunda. I mean, Ethan, most valuable defender last year, captain of JP, another one of these centre backs that just seems to have all the time in the world. Big, strong boy. Nice to see that. Cindy earlier in the show was talking about physicality. Both of them, big, strong, skillful, hard-running players.
You're seeing it lots in the boys' setup. I'm finding is that strong. They're conditioned. They're getting into the gym before the season. All of that is making an impact, and you're seeing the result of it on the field now, I think.
I have to have a go at Calvin. He's been giving me some
I've
stick
been waiting for this.
For the,
I apologise to Guy Hillett in advance.
Yeah, I think you should apologise to
Guy.
And Robin Jones. I mean, St Albans' young team, they've actually got 2 grade 9s playing in the first team. Managed to pull off a 2-1 win over DHS on Friday night.
Very good. Very good
results.
results.
When we looked at the fixtures for the weekend, if we had to call a result that probably, and let's be honest, even we didn't see coming, was St Albans beating DHS, probably the turnaround result of the weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, DHS went on and had a very good Coastal Cup after that. They lost 3-0 to Paul Roos, though. Just to put into perspective how good that Paul Roos
That's actually a good result.
And we spoke a little bit about DHS blowing hot and cold, and we saw that a little bit this weekend.
That's been a feature, even under Michael Baker, let's be fair, that was a feature of DHS hockey, and it's something they're going to have to find some consistency with if they really want to compete for those top spots, isn't it? A few other players that really impressed me, I mean, you all know my heart is red and black and white from Maritzburg College, but a couple of really wonderful players there. Leonard Lamini, the captain we've seen over the last 3 years. Pibo Limbete, the national player, and Dila Limbete, his brother, Little General, Pibo the big general, but the Little General also a really fine game and an outstanding talent down there.
Brilliant. And then so good to see those legacy, the legacy paying off now of the younger players coming through, their brothers having paved the way for them to go to a school like college, and look where Pibo is now. And fantastic.
So phenomenal. Pibo was watching live from Dublin, so he was messaging us during the game about his brother's performance. So it was wonderful to have Pibo on the show. Again, just a wonderful set of extraordinary events this past weekend. We're obviously moving much more forward into a weekend of girls hockey with the St Mary's Festival and down at Kingsmead, but again, just to all of those involved in schoolboy hockey in South Africa, well done, because it was just another wonderful weekend showing what talent, both playing, coaching and eventing talent that we have in this country. And we'll be back with a few of the girls teams that are participating in this after the break. And welcome back to Hockey on 216, proudly driven by Hyundai. As you can see, we're joined by a few of the athletes and coaches that are going to be participating in this wonderful festival at the St Mary's Waverley Hockey Festival, starting tomorrow morning here in Johannesburg. Joined with me is perhaps, and we're going to discuss it a bit more in depth, Chris, and aren't we, Emily? But certainly our favourites to win this tournament is the team all the way up from Stellenbosch, Renish. Chris Gerber, coach, welcome to the show. Wonderful to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And then two of your star players, two of the matric girls who've been with you for a long time. You've been part of the Renish system for the last 5 years. They've sort of been at the school for the last 5 years, and in your first team for the last 4 years. So on my left, next to Emily, we have Pik Bakker. Really nice to have you here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And one of the stars of girls hockey that we've been watching very closely over the last year or two, Leah Du Plessis. Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
Really nice to have you guys. Let's get it out the way. You're coming into the tournament as the favourites. And for those viewers who are probably not aware, it's a team that came 10th here last year, went on to win top 12 in Bloemfontein at the end of August. You started the year like steam trains, and perhaps just mentioning it, beating Oranje 3-0, beating Unisi 3-2 in a tight contested game, beating St Anne's 5-1 recently. I mean, Morne Odendaal, I'm sure, still running laps around St Anne's thinking about that one. What's it like coming in, Chris, maybe first as the coach, as the favourites into a tournament of this nature?
Yeah, I think for us it's more about just focusing on each and every single game as it comes in. Coming into a tournament as favourites is unknown territory for a team like us, always trying to catch up, and now that we've kind of been on the at the top, trying to expand our game and pushing boundaries and setting the pace, if you want to call it that. So it is unknown territory for us, but we're really looking forward to the challenge and what it possesses for us to go into this next phase. But we're really excited, and hopefully we can make ourselves proud.
We put maybe those of you who've obviously listened to your name, a little bit of Dutch roots in there. It's a bit what the Dutch women go into in a lot of tournaments. So now as a player, how do you view that? I mean, obviously you've been part of the system. This is your third St Mary's, 10th last year. Obviously a tough tournament, and this tournament can be very tough. How are you seeing this now coming in as a favourite? Is it quite nice walking around here as sort of the favourites?
It is quite nice, but I think we should just take it game by game and see what we can do, like what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your view on it?
From my side, I think the girls do have a little bit of pressure on them, but it's, I think, good pressure, positive pressure. And we're looking forward to improving our games and improving our rankings from last year and the year before.
I'm sure as a coach, rankings aren't that important. It's more about what they play and how you play the game.
Yeah, 100%. I think we more focus on each and every single game. I mean, 25 minutes isn't a lot of time to really do something. So we've been relying quite a lot on the girls to up their knowledge on terms of if something happens on the field, how can we change it? Because you don't have time to make a tactical or a technical change when need be. So when you put a message on that the girls are understanding, so we're very much principle based in what we want to try and do and get the message across and be adaptable. But again, like anything can happen. You have a slow start, you're 1-0 down, and now you're chasing. So that changes the dynamics as well. So we speak a lot about being adaptable and when things don't go your way, how do we respond and what do we do from there? So that is the name of the game, and that's why we just focused on the challenge of what's happening on the game and then taking it next by next. If we do well in the games and we still play our game as we would in a normal game, then we kind of trying to set ourselves up as best as we can in the tournament for going forward.
Chris, I mean, I don't know if the girls want to chip in here, but do you think there's elements of your preparation that are different for this tournament as opposed to playing a top 12 tournament where you have a normal set of a normal time game?
Yeah, I do think something that for us, this is only the third time we've participated in this tournament. So coming in, Leah and Perk, they were here when we played our first tournament, and they would be first to tell you that when they started playing, it was a big thing. You've got this massive tournament, there's big teams and stuff, so it was a completely new experience for the girls. Coming in the second year, we were obviously a lot more prepared and understanding, and now being a third team, but also having an unknown territory. But it also excites us as we know what to expect. I think a lot of the girls in our team have been here. I mean, Leah, you were part of the start from the word go, and now like being part of it, I think a lot of the girls, the youngsters, have been here and they have experienced this, so which sets us up quite nicely for the future.
Yeah, on that you're now one of the experienced players, I mean, and as we talk about it, changing your format, I guess in most derby hockey and some of the tournaments you play, you wait for the end of a chukka, and I'm sure Coach Harry has got a lot to say, and he talks to you and you take a lot of leadership from what he says at the first chukka break and half time, the third. Obviously in this tournament it's a lot more for what's going on the field, and you've got to be responsible for a lot more of that decision making.
There's no half times or anything, just in the 25 minutes, so it's a bit of a challenge for us, but I think we're always up for a challenge, and I think from my side I have to make precise decisions and think more like the coach
And are you making those decisions yourself? Is there a bit of a brains trust in your team? Are there 3 or 4 players that you lean on, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a team effort, and yeah, we all trust each other. That's a big thing in the team, is trust and what we can see, because not everyone is at the point where they can see what's happening, say in a shorty or whatever. So yeah, I think it comes from everyone, but it is quite tough only having 25 minutes. And it's a different structure to us because we're more suited to playing a full hour game and having input from the coaches and everything. Yeah.
Well, maybe, you know, Emily, she was a winning captain here last year.
Yeah, I think, I mean, your preparation so far has been good. Obviously, you guys have trained a lot together, had a lot of games and festivals together. So, yeah, I'll see how you guys do. I think the pressure will be there, but if I can give you some advice, is just take it game by game. You never know what's going to happen. You can go 1-0 down and lose one game to a team who you never expected to lose to. So I think, yeah, just have some fun and don't let the pressure get to you guys.
In terms of that, like pressing, are you going to be pressing a lot higher in terms of, you know, keeping yourself in the right hole? It's not really a tournament where you want to sit back, absorb pressure and deal with it later in the game.
No, I don't think so. I think you wanna put teams under as much pressure as possible from the word go. Everyone is hyped to go from the start, but you also got to be smart about it. You can't just necessarily go balls to the wall and be exposed at the back as well. So I think it's having the balance of when to go and when not to go. But yeah, we'll wait and see what presses we come up with this week.
I mean, I'm also interested to know from the girls. I mean, but you've been now the 3rd year. You know, your mindset would have been completely different coming here 3 years ago as a junior in the team. Now, do you feel the weight of pulling the rest of the team with you? How do you think your mind shifted over the 3 tournaments?
I think it just grew as the years came past. Yeah. Like now, I don't see myself as like an older player or like with higher priority or anything like that. But I think it's just like we're all on the same level and we're all here together as a team. So yeah.
But I'm sure you recognise that some of the girls coming here for the first time they must feel this weight of expectation that you're third tournament and coming in as the favourites.
Yeah, we've spoken to them and I think everyone seems quite relaxed about it. They're excited and nervous, but nerves are sometimes good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things Chris and I have been talking about is what's going on there in the water at Stellenbosch, because Paul Roos hockey is just flying through the system. Renish are doing so well. Something to do with the primary school system, something to do with coaches coming into the system. What's going on in hockey in the Boerland?
I think it's mainly the coaches and all the effort they put in, because I know Paul Roos also got a new coach recently. And yeah, Coach Chris has been working with us a lot, so definitely the coaches.
Nothing to do with the talent.
Talent as well, yeah.
But there's certainly something going on there, isn't there? Chris, I mean, maybe Chris, you came from Pretoria previously, you've gone down into Stellenbosch. We've just seen some extraordinary hockey, and Chris, and I was talking earlier on about the under 14s, under 16s. It's not just at a first team level, we're seeing it right through the system.
I think it's, so when I moved to Stellenbosch, I think it is more about what I've experienced there is a big of a culture where people are driven to be successful, and doesn't necessarily have to be in hockey terms, but I mean these girls that sitting here is very academic strong as well, and we've all got, so it's a very balanced thing about just doing well not only on the sports field but academically as well. And I think there's a big collaboration between a few coaches in the Boerland. I think like especially Michael Baker being now at Paul Roos, we've had quite a lot of discussions and chats and stuff about Boerland, and we're very excited about where we're going, and there's a big collaboration of being successful and pushing to be the best, if I can put it that way.
I mean, how much does the university, Stellenbosch, have to play their role in the schools being at the level they are? And I'm interested, I mean, I'm not sure if it's all true, but the Paul Roos first team playing in the men's league, is that true?
I'm not aware of that. That will be quite interesting. But we try, in terms of the university, we're trying to play them when we get the chance, playing their ladies ones, playing their ladies twos, to sort of get that exposure. But it's not just the university. I mean, there's 1 or 2 club sides that we tend to play. That's in the Grand Challenge League, so we always want to try and measure ourselves.
Yeah, we often talk about it. I think it's one thing that the Boland Western Cape, you just see kids playing almost adult hockey. They're playing a lot more club hockey than we're seeing around the country. You spoke about the academics. I mean, one of the wonderful things that people often aren't aware of is the university graduates at the Olympics. The sport that has the most is hockey. So, and it's probably a lot to do with the way that hockey is structured around the world. Yeah, you're in matric. It's all coming to an end pretty quickly. So hopefully you can enjoy this year. But what are your plans going into 2026?
I'm not 100% sure yet, but I definitely still want to play hockey, and then I'm just still deciding on university as well.
So you're just waiting for those offers to roll in. Eh? Well, good luck, and obviously we wish you all the best for this year. There's an enormous amount of pressure, and as you said, it seems to be like you seem to be an athlete that quite likes the pressure, likes to walk around here as a favourite, and I think that's always a good thing. But what's your plans for next year?
I'm also not 100% sure yet. I might go to Holland and play hockey there, but definitely hockey.
Definitely hockey. So it's wonderful to see that hockey is going to continue to be part of your plans. We certainly look forward to seeing what you girls and Chris are going to perform, and your teammates over the next couple of days here at St Mary's. Enjoy the experience. But obviously, I think one of the more interesting things, we really keen to watch what you guys do over this year. You're a fantastic side. You've done a wonderful job of preparing this team, and I think there's still quite a few youngsters in it, so this team's not going away anytime soon, Chris.
No, we are still, we're trying to put structures in place when I got there so that we can be competitive. We don't want to be a one-hit wonder where we just perform one year and the next year we're struggling to keep the standard. So we want to have that, and I think we have some good players coming through, under 14s, under 16s, all in good spaces. So we're really looking forward to bringing those players down. We've got about 4 matrics in the side, so for next year.
Very young side.
Wow, crazy. And I mean, look, Morne Odendaal, I'll tell you, the target is 7 wins here, so that's the sort of wins is Oranje, so that's what you've got to aim for. Hopefully for you and your team, this is the first one, and we really appreciate you joining us this evening, and good luck.
No, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
And welcome back to St Mary's Waverley as we count down into what promises to be, Bridget, one of the really exciting tournaments of the year, the St Mary's Waverley Hockey Festival. And we're joined here not only by the gorgeous trophy, but by the defending champions, Durban Girls College. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Emily, this was you holding up this trophy last year, and obviously wonderful to have you sitting next to your coach last year. For our viewers who don't know, Shadi Penniston, not only a national indoor player, but she's been coaching at Durban Girls College for the last 5 years and is the defending coach. Shadi, wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
And then we have this year's captain. Big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
You win it, you get one of those jerseys. If you win it, that's part of the prize of winning it, as Emily has. So Caprice Bankston, really good to have you here. This is your 4th tournament, so lots of experience coming into this tournament. You were part of this last year.
Yes.
Off air, you were just saying to Emily, you don't think you could come back. You'd have so much FOMO coming back as a non-player, because it's just such a wonderful tournament to be a part of. What are you looking forward to over this next weekend?
Well, I mean, obviously Waverley is one of the biggest tournaments for the girls. It's quite a prestigious tournament, so coming into it, we're all really excited, and the prep into it, I think we had quite a rough start in the beginning with our build-up, but as we've got here and stuff, the nerves have settled, so we can't wait to play.
You said you were going to have that FOMO. What is it that you would miss most about being here, not as a player?
Well, the Prego rolls, No, the Prego rolls definitely are up there, but I mean, the atmosphere here at Waverley can't be matched at any of the other tournaments, and obviously having the Waverley girls on the sidelines creates such a good vibe, so definitely going to miss all of that, and like the hype when you're on the field. So yeah.
Even at 7:30 tomorrow morning when you play Penryn as your first game?
I mean, that one might test me a little bit. It's going to be quite cold as well. But yeah, it's always being at Waverley, playing on such a big stage. It's always exciting. Always time to show up with the girls. So,
absolutely.
So excited.
Shadi, obviously, we had the Renish team who I think probably in a lot of respects, even you would agree, come in here as favourites. They've just had an outstanding start to the season. But you come in here as defending champions. That's got to feel completely different to every other year that you've been here.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting year for us. We've got a new group of girls. I've got lots of new talent coming through our system with 3 or 4 tricks that I'm carrying through from last year. I think our standard is to try and match last year's competitiveness and just to match last year's fight till the end, and we just need to be as resilient as we were last year.
I mean, one of the things as a coach, and we've discussed it so much on the show, tough format to win there. I mean, there's no way, you know, last year you did lose to St Mary's Wavy early on, but you were able to come back from that, so there's a little bit of forgiveness early on. But once it gets into the latter stages of this tournament, it's 25 minutes, you've got nowhere to go. How do you approach that?
It's a difficult one to approach, especially when you can see the girls are tired, they're fatigued, their body's a little bit cramped. But we just need to manage each other, and I think also the goals encouraging each other has been a really big part of it. Our goals last year were amazing. I think in our semi-final, we just made sure that everyone crossed the line. So what crossing the line means is if we need to defend for 25 minutes, we defended. We scored one goal, and then we just made sure we crossed it.
Fond memories of that game,
Trauma, but yeah, I think Waverley beating us really gave us a bit of a wake-up call. And then obviously that semi-final was unbelievable. It was a miracle we won, and then the final was just...
And just remind me, that was Oranje?
No, that was
St. Stithians.
St. Stithians. Went down to shootouts,
To shootouts. No one scored. Showdowns. And I think we finished it 3-2, if I'm not mistaken.
But remember, we got that score of the backstick.
So
it wasn't originally.
There was a very controversial backstick.
I do remember that.
Umpires did, by the grace of God, listen to us and then reversed their decision.
I did get a lot of people coming to me in the broadcast room asking for the replay, and I didn't really know if I could offer that on. So
Yes, and I think as you can hear and your viewers at home, there's just so much excitement as you see here. Lots of girls arriving, teams arriving from all over the country, 32 different teams. Any team that you, particularly in your early rounds, that you're really looking forward to playing and that you sort of targeted as a big game early on for you?
So definitely, for sure, I would say Waterkloof and Menlo. They were strong teams last year, and they have strong teams still carrying on through this year. So it's always good to play those tough games in the pool to prepare you, hopefully, for cross stages. So definitely, I would say Waterkloof. It's an exciting game for us.
Obviously, those two teams, Pretoria Hockey, often a lot more physical, really quick girls, often strong girls that really come at you. Cindy Brown was chatting to us earlier, looking for girls with more physicality, quicker. You think you've got enough to match those Pretoria girls on that front?
Well, we're going to try our best, so obviously put our best foot forward when we do play Menlo and Waterkloof. I think also playing against Omarie, I think we always play each other at St. Mary's, which is ironic. But yeah, I think if we can try and manage Vogel, one of their key players in the midfield.
She's a talent.
Yeah, she's really talented. She's quick, she's fast. She distributes, she's physical, she distributes, she's at the top of the car, so I don't think I've seen her stop once. And we've a little bit of video.
Emily, maybe you've been spending a bit of time in Pretoria this year, so maybe there's a little bit of insider knowledge, and you've been a little bit of a spy in the Pretoria camp there for the Durban Girls College.
So obviously I've been coaching there at Menlo Park in Pretoria. I'll definitely be on my home team side when you guys play Menlo Park, but I've just found with their strategies and their tactics, they're just very physical. They never say die. They just give it their all and get the ball in the back of the net. So I think that's some things as Durban schools need to work on.
And one of the things you would have seen coaching at Menlo, a hugely strong athletics program. So a lot of these girls come out of almost a pre-season of doing a lot of athletics, quick, strong, fast, fit, explosiveness, all of those things. How do you look to counter that?
We've actually also been trying to get our explosiveness in, so we've got a trainer at our school who's been working with the girls trying to get us at our peak, so we're trying to make sure the girls are competitive, but then also in our training sessions the girls have a good go at each other, pushing each other, just making sure that we're all on our best foot.
So ironically enough, Brad, who coaches Menlo, is also my club coach, so we had training the other night and he made us run a lot. So
they definitely had enough running.
How are the legs feeling?
Quite good, I would say. We had quite an intense fitness program coming into Waverley. Lots of running, lots of resistance bands involved. So feeling strong. I
think it's good that Durban Girls College has invested in that, because coming from Menlo, they prioritize the athletics. So coming to hockey, they fit, we just focus on skills. So it's really good to see the Durban schools investing in athletics and getting stronger and fitter.
just that explosiveness. And look at it, as we chatted to Cindy earlier, and Bridget, you're very involved in that sort of national team setup. We're looking for girls with explosiveness, with physicality, with speed, pace, good hands. That's really what we need in the future of Salisbury's women's hockey, isn't it, Shadi?
Yes, 100%. I think the girls need to be diverse and they need to be willing to die on the field. Like, literally carry each other and make sure that they are doing their part. As a team, we just want to make sure we are happy with the girls' performance. So they're gonna give it their all tomorrow.
I have no doubt. And it's not just all about hockey when you're here. I mean, there's a lot of old friendships. You've been coming here for a long time, playing a lot of provincial hockey, the SESOP Nationals and things like that. Lots of old friendships obviously take place here. Definitely. Give us a little bit of insight into what goes on at St Mary's off the Astro.
So definitely, thankfully I've been involved in the SA setup, so it's sort of reuniting with the SA girls, and obviously you don't get to see them that much unless you're on camp. So it's good to see them again. Obviously there's so much to do here. Standard Bank has their place set up, so there's so many activities for us. So there's a lot of fun things that do happen off the field, and I think it's really nice just to see your friends again, because obviously it's in a competitive environment, but it's also nice to have that chillness off the field.
Absolutely. Are there ice baths planned in here?
Yes,
is that part of the regime? I mean, everyone looking for the Durban girls must just love her. Icy bath in Johannesburg.
You know what? It's better than an icy bath in Bloem, so we'll take it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the ice bath, recovery zones, always good.
And you talk about, Standard Bank, it's wonderful to hear someone of your age recognise that sponsors bring so much to events like this, not only from, subsidising the infrastructure and what goes on here, but putting on activities that just make it a much better all-in experience.
Yeah, and I also think it really helps to bring the supporters in when there is things to do, like there are recreational activities, if there are younger kids here, siblings. So I think it's good to grow the game.
And I'm sure a big contingent of parents. I mean, last year I knew those Durban parents of yours, Mark Carstens and a few of his friends were phoning me at midnight, still celebrating here at St Mary's on the Sunday. So this is an incredible tournament for parent support, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I think one of our highlights was when the girls won and they ran across to their parents just to say thank you, because I think our parents all sat together. They were the green machine, like you can see them from a mile away. So it was really amazing to have the supporters on the side of the field just cheering us on, especially in our difficult moments where we literally were we needed them. So
my best is when the parents all arrive and they're like feeding the kids. They've arrived with all the pick and pay packets and this and that and thirsty waters and all the rest.
What are the things that typically your parents are bringing to the game? What are those snacks that you look forward to the most?
My go-to is always a nice Energade and an orange. I don't know about anyone else, but it's always our fruit. I think our team has consumed like an insane amount of watermelon in the past couple of weeks. Watermelon and grapes have kept us going on camp at school.
It all sounds like good stuff.
Yeah.
But going back to those periods, Shadi, I mean, as a coach in South African hockey, the contribution that parents make to kids' careers, the ability to attend tournaments, etc. It's just so important, is it, having that parental support?
Yes, I think it's absolutely like for financial backing for the kids. I think that's the first one, because I think hockey is a self-funded sport, so we do depend on our parents a lot, and I think they're the ones who also are backing and giving us some financial support. So we are really grateful for them, and they can also bring into our sponsors. So sponsors like Standard Bank and Pick and Pay have come and really do make this tournament a fun event for all of us.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, it's really special of you to bring this trophy to the show. We really appreciate it. Emily looked at it like a long lost friend when it arrived. Didn't you?
So you can see our name on it.
I went and looked when I was there as well, and it's
Coach.
How many times, Bridgie?
Just once.
Just one?
So DGC, we just described it. You are the third biggest winner of this tournament with 3 titles. I think St Mary's 6.
St Mary's Waverley.
St Mary's Waverley. Is there another St Mary's?
Yes, St Mary's.
They may be one in Durban.
Yeah, well, and as you can see, Bridget proudly wearing her St Mary's Kloof old school jersey, and the DGC version on that side that we had specially made for your tournament here. And we promise you, if you win it, we'll be getting you one of those as well.
Thank you, I love that.
We'll be doing that for you. Did you sleep with the trophy last year? Did it make it into your bed with you, or what did you do with it that evening?
We didn't let it go out of our sight. I think on the plane home we walked in like we had just won the World Cup. It was the most surreal feeling, and I still can't believe to this day that we won it.
Yeah. It had its own security team, remember? Yeah. At the airport, we all walked in a circle around the trophy.
Well, it's wonderful. I mean, and it is a very, very special trophy. And Bridget, I know, is speaking later at the dinner for girls, and I have no doubt she'll be talking about the fact that these are the girls that are going to represent South Africa in 8-10 years' time at Olympics and World Cups, aren't they, Bridget?
Absolutely. It's ironic that you bring up a World Cup. I speak to that at the open dinner, just how foundations at things like this build sporting nations, and this is the opportunity for us to grow that opportunity going forward into our hockey careers, into other sporting careers, etc.
Well, as we close hockey on 216, it's been really special for us to be doing this show from St. Mary's, and even if it's not in Kloof, Bridget, but it really is special to be at St. Mary's Waverley. Looking forward to just an extraordinary St. Mary's Festival, proudly supported by Standard Bank. We'll be back with a roundup of this show next week, and Bridget and Emily will no doubt be taking our guests through and meeting potentially the defending champions or a new champion, and we'll be finding that out on Sunday evening live on Channel 216 on the SABC Plus channel, and of course on the SuperSport Schools app. Good night, and thank you for joining us.